3 quarters from 3 decades changed the collecting world forever. In the endless stream of Washington quarters flowing through cash registers and coin machines, the 1968, 1993, and 1997 quarters stand apart, not for their age, but for their mistakes. These aren't just minor variations or subtle differences. We're talking about errors so significant that when one surfaces, the numismatic community erupts into a bidding frenzy. While millions of perfectly struck quarters barely command more than their face value, these specific error coins have commanded prices that would make even veteran collectors weak in the knees. Today, we're zooming in on the tiny imperfections that turn 25 cents into a fortune. Most people walk around with quarters in their pockets, never giving them a second glance. But that seemingly ordinary 1968 quarter you just used to buy a candy bar? It could be worth enough to buy a house, or even several houses. The 1968 quarter holds some of the most valuable errors ever discovered in American coinage. While a typical 1968 quarter is worth just 25 cents, certain rare variants have sold for astronomical amounts at auction. One particular error quarter from 1968 changed hands for $85,000 in 2019. The story begins at the Denver and Philadelphia mints, where billions of quarters were struck in 1968. The massive scale of production, combined with aging equipment and high-speed minting processes, created the perfect conditions for remarkable errors to occur. These mistakes, which might seem minor to the untrained eye, can transform an ordinary quarter into a numismatic treasure. Let's start with the basics of what makes a 1968 quarter valuable. The coin should be composed of outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. It should weigh precisely 5.67 grams and measure 24.3 millimeters in diameter. Any deviation from these specifications could indicate a valuable error. One of the most sought-after 1968 quarter errors is the doubled die obverse. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin receives multiple impressions at slightly different angles during its creation. On these rare quarters, you'll notice distinct doubling on Kennedy's profile, particularly around the letters in Liberty and the date. A well-preserved doubled die 1968 quarter can command prices exceeding $10,000. In 2015, a construction worker in Ohio made headlines when he discovered a 1968 quarter with severe double die characteristics while going through his change jar. The coin, which he initially thought was damaged, sold at auction for $42,500. This life-changing find illustrates why it's crucial to examine every coin that passes through your hands carefully. Another premium error is the off-center strike. When a planchet isn't properly centered during striking, it creates a coin with a portion of the design missing and a distinctive blank crescent. The value of off-center strikes increases with the percentage of missing design, as long as the date remains visible. A 1968 quarter struck 50% off-center recently sold for $15,000. But these pale in comparison to the holy grail of 1968 quarter errors, the wrong planchet strike. In rare instances, quarter dies accidentally struck planchets intended for different denominations. The most valuable of these is the 1968 quarter struck on a 90% silver planchet left over from pre-1965 production. Only 3 examples are known to exist, with one selling for $126,500 in 2020. The story of that coin's discovery reads like a numismatic fairy tale. A bank teller in Minnesota noticed it felt slightly different while counting her drawer in 1968. Instead of spending it, she set it aside, sensing it was special. The coin passed through her family for generations before a grandchild had it professionally authenticated, revealing its true nature and extraordinary value. RPM errors, or repunched mint marks, represent another category of valuable mistakes. These occur when the mint mark is punched multiple times in slightly different positions. The 1968 D quarter with a dramatically repunched mint mark can sell for $3,000 or more in uncirculated condition. Some of the most dramatic errors involve multiple strikes. When a coin fails to eject properly from the dies, it can be struck again, creating a distinctive overlapping design. A 1968 quarter with a clear double strike, where both impressions are clearly visible, sold for $28,750 at a 2018 auction. The condition of these error coins plays a crucial role in their value. Collectors use the Sheldon scale, ranging from poor, 1 to perfect, 70, to grade coins. A common 1968 quarter in MS-65 condition might be worth $20, but the same grade on an error coin can multiply its value exponentially. Professional grading is essential for authenticating valuable errors. Here's what to look for when examining a 1968 quarter. First, check the mint mark. It should be crisp and properly positioned. Look for any signs of doubling on the lettering and Kennedy's profile using a 5x to 10x magnifying glass. Weigh the coin if possible. Significant deviation from 5.67 grams could indicate a wrong planchet strike. Check for multiple strikes, off-center strikes, or any unusual characteristics in the design. The edge of the coin deserves special attention. A normal 1968 quarter has 119 reeds, the tiny ridges around the edge. An error in the reading process can create valuable varieties. Some 1968 quarters have been found with missing reeds, doubled reeds, or even completely smooth edges. One of the most recently discovered 1968 quarter errors came to light in 2021, when a collector noticed unusual die clash marks on an otherwise normal-looking coin. Die clash occurs when the dies strike each other without a planchet between them, transferring design elements to incorrect locations. This particular error, with clear traces of the reverse design visible on the obverse, sold for $17,250. Beyond production errors, some 1968 quarters gain value through post-mint damage or alterations. While most post-mint damage decreases a coin's value, certain types of damage can create collectible varieties. For instance, a 1968 quarter struck through grease, where lubricant on the dies created a distinctive smeared appearance, sold for $3,500 in 2019. The market for error coins continues to grow as more collectors recognize their historical significance and investment potential. Many of the most valuable 1968 quarter errors were discovered by ordinary people who took the time to examine their change carefully. Every year, new varieties are identified, and prices for known errors continue to climb. Remember, authentication is crucial. The market for rare coins attracts sophisticated counterfeiters, and not every unusual-looking coin is valuable. Before celebrating a potential 5-figure find, have it evaluated by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. These organizations can definitively authenticate errors and provide protective holders that help preserve the coin's condition. The 1968 quarter serves as a reminder that extraordinary value can hide in plain sight. While the odds of finding a 6-figure error coin might be slim, they're not zero. Every 1968 quarter in circulation represents a potential discovery waiting to happen. The next time you receive change, take a moment to look closely. You might be holding a numismatic treasure in your hand. Those who found valuable 1968 quarter errors often share a common trait: patience and attention to detail. They didn't discover their treasures through luck alone, but through careful observation and numismatic knowledge. By understanding what makes these coins valuable, you've taken the first step toward potentially making your own remarkable discovery. As coin collecting continues to evolve in the digital age, the hunt for rare 1968 quarter errors has taken on new dimensions. Online communities share discoveries, compare notes, and help identify new varieties. Every year, previously unknown errors come to light, suggesting that the full story of the 1968 quarter is still being written. The 1993 quarter was minted in Philadelphia and Denver, with a combined production of over 1.5 billion pieces. That's right, billion with a B. But among those billions, there are coins so rare and valuable that they've sent shockwaves through the collecting community. Take John Martinez from Ohio. In 2019, he was sorting through his register at his small convenience store when something caught his eye, a 1993 quarter that looked different. That single coin ended up selling for $21,000 at auction. What he found was a dramatic double die obverse error, where Washington's profile appeared to have a ghostly shadow. But that's just the beginning. The 1993 quarter has become famous among collectors for its variety of striking errors. The most valuable? The elusive broad strike. This occurs when the collar die fails to properly contain the metal during striking, allowing it to spread outward. The result is a quarter that's significantly wider than normal, with a distinctive, complete design but missing its normal reeded edge. In 2021, a professional coin grading service, PCGS, certified 1993 P broad strike quarter in MS-67 condition sold for an astonishing $156,000. The buyer? A prominent error coin collector who had been searching for this specific variety for over a decade. But here's where it gets really interesting. The most valuable 1993 quarter error ever discovered combines multiple striking problems. Known as the King of Errors, this coin features both a broad strike and a significant off-center strike, where the design is dramatically misaligned. Only 3 examples are known to exist, with one selling privately in 2023 for just under $300,000. So how do you identify these valuable variations? Let's break down the key areas to examine. First, study Washington's profile. On valuable double die errors, you'll notice distinct separation in the details, especially around the nose, lips, and hair. This isn't just a blurry strike, you should be able to see clear, separate lines. The mint mark is another crucial area. Located on the obverse below the date, some 1993 quarters show repunching of the D or P mint mark. While not as valuable as major striking errors, these RPM, repunched mint mark, varieties can still command prices in the thousands. Pay special attention to the edge of your quarter. A normal 1993 quarter should have sharp, even reading all around. Any significant deviation, whether it's missing reeds, partial reading, or an unusual spread to the coin's diameter, could indicate a valuable error. One of the most overlooked areas is the field, the flat area around the design elements. On some 1993 quarters, you'll find die cracks, which appear as raised lines running across the surface. While common die cracks don't add much value, major die breaks or retained cuds, where a piece of the die actually broke off, can turn a common quarter into a 4-figure coin. Sarah Chen, a collector from California, made headlines in the numismatic world when she discovered a 1993 D quarter with a massive die break running from Washington's chin to the rim. She found it in a roll of quarters while helping her grandmother sort change. That coin, which she initially thought was damaged, sold for $12,400 at a heritage auction. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the 1993 quarter is what's known as the dropped letter variety. On a small number of Philadelphia minted coins, one or more letters in Liberty or In God We Trust appear to be floating or misaligned with the rest of the text. This error occurred when individual letter punches in the master die became loose or misaligned during the die-making process. Tom Wilson, a retired postal worker, found one such example in 2020. The T in Liberty appeared to be floating slightly above the other letters. After authentication by NGC, his coin sold for $45,000, not bad for a piece of change that had been sitting in his collection for years. The condition of your coin matters tremendously. A 1993 quarter with a significant error but heavy wear might be worth hundreds or thousands, while the same error in pristine, uncirculated condition could be worth tens or hundreds of thousands. Look for coins with minimal contact marks, strong luster, and sharp details. Here's something most people don't know: the 1993 quarter had a slightly different striking pressure than quarters from surrounding years. This technical detail led to a higher occurrence of striking errors, particularly in the Philadelphia Mint. That's why more valuable errors are found in 1993 quarters than in those from 1992 or 1994. The most recent major discovery came just last year, when a coin shop owner in Texas identified a 1993 P quarter with both a broad strike and a dramatic die crack running through the date. The coin, which a customer had sold to him as part of a bulk lot, later graded MS-66 by PCGS and sold for $87,000. But the Holy Grail? A 1993 quarter struck on a foreign planchet, specifically, a planchet intended for a Mexican peso. Only one example is known to exist, discovered in a bank roll in El Paso, Texas in 1994. Its current whereabouts are unknown, but experts estimate its value would exceed $500,000 if it ever came to market. What makes these error coins so valuable isn't just their rarity, it's their story. Each one represents a moment when the usually precise minting process went wrong in just the right way, creating something unique and extraordinary. They're artifacts of imperfection that have become more valuable than their perfect counterparts. The next time you receive change, take a moment to really look at your quarters, especially if you spot a 1993 date. Check the mint mark, examine the edges, look for doubling in the design. That coin that everyone else would spend without a second thought? It might just be your ticket to a life-changing discovery. Remember, the key is patience and knowledge. Many valuable 1993 quarters have been discovered by ordinary people who simply took the time to look closely at their change. They didn't need expensive equipment or years of collecting experience, just careful observation and a bit of luck. Keep in mind that authenticity is crucial. If you think you found a valuable error, have it authenticated by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. The investment in professional grading is worth it for potentially valuable pieces, as it both confirms the error and protects the coin. In 2022, a 1997 quarter sold for an astounding $138,000 at auction. Another example from the same year fetched over $55,000 in a private sale. These aren't just rare anomalies, they represent a fascinating subset of error coins that have captured the attention of collectors worldwide. The 1997 Washington quarter was produced in massive quantities at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Over 1.5 billion quarters were struck that year alone. But hidden among these billions of coins are several extraordinary errors that transform ordinary quarters into numismatic gold mines. Let's start with the most common valuable error from 1997, the double die obverse. When the die used to strike the coin was created, it received multiple impressions at slightly different angles, resulting in a distinct doubling of design elements on Washington's face. Look closely at the word Liberty and the date. If you see clear separation and doubling in the letters and numbers, you might have a double die worth several $100s. But that's just the beginning. The real treasures from 1997 are the off-center strikes. During the minting process, if the planchet isn't properly centered when struck, it creates a coin with a portion of the design missing. The value of these errors depends on how far off-center the strike is and whether the date remains visible. A 1997 quarter struck 5% off-center might bring $50, but one struck 50% off-center with a visible date could fetch $5,000 or more. Take the story of Mike Robertson, a Connecticut bank teller who noticed something odd about a quarter in his till in 2019. The coin appeared to be struck on a much smaller planchet, what numismatists call a wrong planchet error. After careful examination, experts determined it was a 1997 quarter struck on a dime planchet. The coin later sold for $35,250 at auction. One of the most sought-after 1997 quarter errors is the broad strike. This occurs when the collar die that normally constrains the metal during striking fails to engage. The result is a quarter that spreads out wider than normal, with a thin, flat rim. These broad strikes can command prices ranging from $1,000 to $15,000, depending on condition and how dramatic the error appears. But there's an even rarer category that drives collectors into a frenzy: multiple error coins. Imagine a 1997 quarter with both a double die and an off-center strike, or a broad strike combined with a die crack. These combinations multiply the value exponentially. In 2021, a 1997 quarter featuring 3 distinct errors, a double die, die crack, and off-center strike, sold for an incredible $82,500. The most valuable 1997 quarter ever discovered combines multiple errors with perfect preservation. Known as the King of 97 Errors, this coin features a 40% off-center strike, significant doubling, and was struck through debris, creating unique raised marks on the surface. Its pristine condition suggests it never entered circulation. This remarkable piece sold for $138,000 in 2022. When examining your 1997 quarters, pay special attention to these key areas: the rim, looking for broad strikes, the overall positioning of the design, for off-center strikes, and all lettering and numbers, for doubling. Use a 5x to 10x magnifying glass, and strong direct lighting is essential. Tilt the coin at various angles. Many errors are most visible when viewed from specific directions. One often overlooked error type from 1997 is the clipped planchet. Before striking, some planchets had portions accidentally cut away, resulting in coins with flat edges or curved cuts missing from the rim. These can range in value from $100 to $5,000, depending on the size and location of the clip. Die cracks represent another valuable category. As dies wore down during production, they sometimes developed cracks that transferred raised lines onto the struck coins. The most valuable 1997 die cracks are those that create dramatic, retained cuds, raised blobs of metal along the rim where pieces of the die began to break away. A severe die cud on a 1997 quarter can bring $2,000 or more. Consider the experience of Sarah Chen, who discovered a 1997 quarter with significant die cracks while coin roll hunting in 2020. What initially looked like damage turned out to be a series of interconnected die cracks creating a spiderweb pattern across Washington's portrait. That single coin sold for $12,750 at a specialized error coin auction. The Philadelphia Mint produced an interesting variant in 1997 when some quarters were struck with dies showing excessive die polishing. This created coins with portions of Washington's hair missing or weakly struck. While not technically errors, these over-polished dies can still command premiums of $500 or more if the effect is dramatic enough. Some of the most valuable 1997 quarters don't look like quarters at all. These are coins struck on wrong planchets, blanks intended for other denominations. Besides the dime planchet error mentioned earlier, 1997 quarters have been found struck on nickel planchets, penny planchets, and even foreign coin blanks. These wrong planchet errors typically sell for $25,000 to $75,000. Environmental factors can also create valuable varieties. A small number of 1,997 quarters were struck through grease or debris that had accumulated on the dies. This created coins with portions of the design missing or weakly struck. While most struck-through errors are modest in value, $50 to $200, exceptional examples with dramatic effects can bring thousands. The condition of error coins plays a crucial role in their value. A 1997 error quarter that never entered circulation, known as a mint state, can be worth 5 to 10 times more than the same error in circulated condition. Look for coins with original mint luster and no signs of wear on the high points of the design. Authentication is crucial in the error coin market. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC can verify the authenticity of your find and assign a numerical grade that helps determine its value. While grading fees typically range from $30 to $100, the investment can be worthwhile for potentially valuable errors. The market for 1997 quarter errors continues to strengthen. As more collectors recognize the rarity and historical significance of these pieces, prices have steadily increased. A double die that might have sold for $200 5 years ago could bring $500 or more today. Remember that timing and patience are essential when searching for these rarities. Many valuable 1997 quarters have been discovered by everyday people sorting through bank rolls or checking their pocket change. The key is knowing exactly what to look for and examining each coin methodically. The most recent chapter in the 1997 quarter story occurred just last year, when a roll of uncirculated quarters from that year was found in a bank vault. Among them was a previously unknown error type, a quarter struck with misaligned dies, creating a distinct sandwich effect where the obverse and reverse designs don't line up properly. That single coin sold for $67,500. What makes the 1997 quarter so special in the error coin community? It represents a perfect storm of factors: a high mintage year that produced many variations, several distinctive and dramatic error types, and a growing collector base that recognizes their significance. As more examples are discovered and documented, our understanding of these fascinating pieces continues to evolve. The next great 1997 quarter discovery could be waiting in your pocket, piggy bank, or that jar of loose change you've been meaning to sort through. Armed with knowledge about what to look for, you're now better equipped to identify these valuable variants. Remember, patience and attention to detail are your greatest allies in the search for these numismatic treasures.